excuse my language, but shit happens. You can call it lifing, you can call it experiences or situations. The only thing that really matters is how you deal with what happens to you. And the thing that makes the most significant difference in how you do that is whether or not you can accept your circumstances. That's right, accept your circumstances. And believe me, when I say I know this to be true, because, well, I usually stay pretty positive, but I did do an accounting. Somebody said something about 2023 being a really tough year, and I thought I'm going to take an accounting and see what happened during 2023. And I had my ability to accept my circumstances tested in the last year big time. Like life really lifed for me in 2023. My mother died in January. So just start the year off, my mother died. Then we sold her house, which 6 months later or so is the house I grew up in, right? Beautiful house on a lake. 6 months or so later, it was demolished. In June, I fell and I dislocated my shoulder. That was followed by a back sprain that lasted 3 months. Right after that, I contracted shingles in the same shoulder and arm I dislocated earlier, leaving that arm totally useless, really. And then after that, my brother-in-law was diagnosed with terminal cancer, brain cancer, and my sister fell off her bike and they discovered she had a pineal tumor that had to be removed, and she ended up in the ICU for a month. My other sister had to sell her house, and she ended up with a terrible infection in her thumb that still, is still an issue. My 31-year-old daughter found that she needed to have hip surgery. My son is trying to leave an old job and find a new one. My husband had to have a heart ablation, which was just in December, actually on the 27th. Right before that, the dog ended up in the emergency room clinic overnight, and she might have some kind of a disease we're trying to diagnose that might, mean she needs meds for the rest of her life. And then the day after my husband's procedure, I broke my ankle. So if all that wasn't enough, I broke my ankle. And that's a lot of piles of doo-doo, if you ask me. But it hasn't fazed me because I accepted each and every situation. Now, that doesn't mean that I liked it or that I didn't want to change it, but I didn't fight against it or get super upset. I didn't let my negative mental chatter go crazy. I didn't act out or end up depressed or feeling sorry for myself. And I didn't let it stop me from doing things that were important to me. Of course, I couldn't walk, I couldn't walk the dog. I can't walk the dog. But I'm still at my desk doing the things that are important to me. I am still in touch with my family, all of those kinds of things that are important. And, most importantly, I didn't try to fix it all, right? Or fight against it. Of course, I grieved my mother's death and the house that she and I loved so much. And I worried about my sisters and my daughter and my husband a little bit, not too much. Why? Because I accepted all of this. It just is what it is. It was what it was. So the thing is that my only other option besides accepting was to not accept the circumstances. And that would have meant being angry, and being upset and depressed and worried and overwhelmed. And, I could have been lashing out at people or blaming people or situations and, expressing a whole lot of negative emotions. And none of that would have done me any good. In fact, it would have made the situation much worse. I mean, just imagine spending, like, if we even just think about this broken ankle, 4 to 8 weeks or 12 weeks being angry and blaming and depressed and lashing out at everyone. Think about, so this, besides my mother's death, almost everything has happened in the last 6 months. Imagine if I had acted that way for 6 months, angry, blaming, depressed, lashing out, all of that. Not a pretty picture. Not a pretty picture, is it? For me or for the people around me? And if it was you, for you or the people around you. So acceptance is a much better option, in my opinion, unless, of course, you can change your circumstances. In that case, change represents the best option. But you'll still be happier accepting until you can change what you don't like. So let's look at what it really means to accept, or what acceptance means, because you need to understand that word to practice it. So to accept means to endure without protest or reaction. And to be accepting means that you're able or willing to accept something or someone. So put in more simple terms, when you allow your conditions or circumstances to be what they are without pushing against them, you accept them. And when you don't protest or become reactive because of your situation, you're accepting. Now, I did see a definition that claimed that acceptance means regarding different types of people and ways of life or circumstances with tolerance and acceptance. And tolerance is not the same as acceptance. And I've talked about that before, but I want to make that clear, because I don't want you tolerating. I did that. Tolerating is the capacity to endure continued subjugation to something without adverse reaction. So what they're basically saying with that definition is that you endure something, but it doesn't impact you in a negative way. But I don't believe that you can tolerate something without adverse reaction, because when you tolerate something or someone, you end up angry and resentful because you're not accepting. And that's why you want to accept rather than tolerate. Believe me, I tried tolerating things like work I didn't enjoy, a marriage that wasn't working, friends who brought me down rather than raise me up. And all that did was make me immensely unhappy. But if you know someone or something won't change, you have a choice to accept rather than tolerate. Tolerating my broken ankle will make me miserable super fast. Why? Because I'll constantly be focused on how I wish the situation were different. I'll focus on what, I can't do rather than what I can do. Accepting my broken ankle allows me to be happy despite my circumstances. And I know that there's not much I can do about it. So I focus on other things, on things that I can do. Okay? I can't change it. If I could change it, I would do that. So in order to begin accepting, I want you to look at your life. What circumstances or situations or people do you wish you could change? What or who do you continually find yourself thinking about and getting upset about because you want it or them to be different? And now consider how you react rather than respond. Respond is a conscious decision about how to behave, but a reaction is like a trigger. And so how do you consider how you react to the people or situations? Do you get angry? Do you blame? Do you feel sad? Or do you point a finger at someone or the situation and claim that, your problems are their fault or its fault? Do you hear yourself saying things like, if only it or they were different, I'd be happy or successful? Those reactions and thoughts are telltale signs that you're tolerating. Okay? And tolerance does not involve any aspect of acceptance, at least in the way I'm talking about it. So that means that you need to decide if you can accept the circumstances in which you find yourself. And if you can't, you resign yourself to being miserable. Right? So if you can't accept it, you're going to be unhappy. On the other hand, if you accept your situation or people, you free yourself. You free yourself to stop focusing on how you wish things or people were different. And then you can put your attention on things that make you happy, or in changing the things that don't. So what do you choose? I'm sure you don't want to be unhappy. So your choice seems pretty straightforward. Just decide to accept your circumstances, or, as I said, change them. But that one decision, I can tell you, has made all the difference in my life this past year. So ask yourself, or let me ask you, are you able to accept your circumstances or other people? I would love for you to tell me in a comment down below, and just to share. Are you able to accept? I look at, there are two people I know. One, she's complaining about not being able to go scuba diving after a surgery that she had on her eyes. And she lives somewhere where there is no ocean, so scuba diving doesn't happen every day. She's she's not accepting. My sister, on the other hand, whose vision was impacted by her pineal tumor, used to ride her bike 50 miles every day. And because of her vision issue, she not only can't drive, she can't ride her bike. And she may never be able to do either of those again. And she has totally accepted it. She is not unhappy about it. She said, if I never ride my bike or drive a car again, I'll be totally happy. It's the difference. So learn to accept and tell me in a comment, are you able to accept people and circumstances, your situation? Okay. So if you've never met me before, I'm Nina Amir, the Inspiration to Creation Coach. I am a certified high performance coach and an intuitive transformational coach. And I love to help people get their human part out of the way so they can access their spiritual part and step into being a creator. You are a creator. You're the creator of your life. You're the creator of who you are and all of that. And when you get the human part out of the way, you can create through spiritual guidance. Okay. So that's how I like to get people from where they are to where they want to go. Help them step into actually being a creator who can do the things that help them create their desires. So you're a human, you're a spiritual being having a human physical experience. And in all the work I do, I address both aspects of who you are. So if that's of interest to you, consider joining the Inspired Creator community. The link's up above. That's where I offer group coaching. Um, uh, yeah, so that's where I do my best work. We have a community of people who are all like-minded. They'd all like to live lives that feed their souls, and to do that by stepping into their power as creators. So if that's of interest, click on the link below above. Leave me any comments or questions down below. And until I talk to you next time, go out there and achieve more inspired results. And thanks for watching.